Good evening, everybody, and welcome to week 12 in CA 121. Chef Suzanne and I welcome you to our final live session here, which is kind of a swan song to all. And I want everybody to remember that you can get through this class. I know there's still a couple of people out there that are struggling. As well, we have a lot of people that out there that are really excelling. So if you feel as though you want to get through this class, get a hold of me. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to do everything I can to help you and get you through this because your success is our number one goal. So let's communicate. And let's talk quickly about week 11. What did everybody think about week 11? Nicholas, did you do week 11?
I'm working on it right now.
Working on it right now. What about you, Crystal?
It was hard for me.
Why was it hard?
Just getting it started, like the fire and everything, I couldn't control the temperature. It was hard. And then to top it off, it started raining on me. So it was a bad day.
Oh.
I got through it though, but not like how I wanted to.
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm sorry. That happens. Deidre,
Yeah.
did you get week 11 done?
Yes, I did.
How'd it go for you?
It went good because, we grill all the time, but I couldn't get my grill marks like I wanted to on my chicken. I ended up having to do 2 batches.
Oh, yeah. The grill marks initially seem a little bit frustrating, but then they get to be very, very easy after a little bit of practice. Just remember, if your grill grates are like that, put your protein down at 10 o'clock. And then move it to 2 o'clock, and you're always going to have a perfect diamond mark when you flip it over. It's just a matter of practice. So hang in there, get tough. Crystal, grilling when you're in industry, and I'm sure Nicholas works on a grill now. It's a lot different than doing it at home. You don't have to worry about lighting the fire, and it's pretty solid temperature throughout the day, unless you're putting a lot of stuff on that grill and cooling it down. But it does remain consistent throughout the day. So once you're in industry, it's kind of a different world. Nicholas, do you do a lot of grilling at work?
Yeah, I used to work on a wood fire grill. Literally, I had to light the fire myself and everything. And I also worked for a chef that was like, I don't like grill marks. I had to literally move the steak, all my steaks, 30 seconds at a time. And then he's like, you have a sear on this steak. I want it to look like you did in a pan. But it's cool. That was the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, we're all a little different about what we want and how we put it together. But when you first start working on a grill in industry, I remember my first couple nights many moons ago, back in the early 1990s or late 1980s. It was very difficult. It was very frustrating. But the more I kept at it, the more I practiced, the better that it got. So it all worked out real well after a period of time. Be patient with yourself. Just keep practicing. Does anybody have any other comments about week 11? Crystal, what'd you do for your side dishes?
I did steamed broccoli and grilled corn.
Oh, okay, cool. How'd the steamed broccoli come out?
It was okay. I put some of that compost butter in there.
Uh-huh.
I mixed it up. I put garlic in the butter, so I like that garlic taste.
Oh,
It worked
no.
okay. I'm not too much fan of broccoli, but
Uh-huh.
it was okay.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you did the compound butter. That's absolutely fantastic. How did the discussion forum work out?
It was confusing at first. I wasn't sure what is it that you wanted, but after you explained, I understood it and I got through that one too.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Good job. Deidre, did you do compound butter?
Yes, I did, but I used dried herbs, chives, parsley,
Okay.
garlic, and onion powder.
Now, did you use that on your chicken?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. What kind of veg
And
did you do?
I did mashed potatoes, and I added chives to those and sour cream and
Uh-huh.
feta and mozzarella cheese.
Ooh, I wish I was there for dinner.
And then I had just a simple tossed green salad, but I also grilled some shrimp in the butter too. So
Oh,
we had a
nice.
little surf and turf.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, good for stretching the limits a little bit and working with that compound butter. Compound butter, like I said, we call it kind of an Insta sauce in industry. We'll put blue cheese in there. We put mustard in there. We put apricot in there. We put all sorts of different things in that compound butter, depending on what we're cooking. And it comes out absolutely fantastic. So great job, everybody. Way to go. Tonight, what our gig is, we are building up to our final, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, and I'm glad that all of you are here. And then we are going to talk a little bit about our final assignment. We're going to talk about the past 11 weeks a little bit to see what we've learned, because we're going to be incorporating that into our week 12 assignment. A couple of notes to start the week off here. Please remember that all assignments are due no later than Sunday, March the 31st by 11:59 p.m. That includes all makeup work. All assignments for this entire course must be submitted by then. So please make sure you get all your work in for this entire course no later than this Sunday, March the 31st at 11:59 p.m. We cannot accept any late submissions. We apologize in advance for that. However, we roll into the next block, and it's just not possible to turn around and get all that done. And like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the class, if anyone needs any help in this class to get through it, we are here. We'll do anything we can to help you. Remember, if you do not pass, you cannot take CA 121 again. The course will no longer exist. You will have to re-enroll in the program and start from the beginning. So get her done, like they say. I know some people need some extra credit, and this is available to everybody out there. Make sure that you take the end of course survey. The end of course survey is very, very important. It helps us grow and continue to evolve the program. So if you feel as though you needed to learn a little something different in this class, or you could have focused a little bit more on something, that's the place that you mention it. We take those surveys very, very seriously. When you do take the survey, you get a nice bump to your grade. So make sure all of you take the end of course survey. It is located at the top of the class page, and it is there and open for you now. It'll take you just a minute to do it. And then for this week, the big push is to go back through the first 11 weeks and review the research materials. That's where all the questions for the final exam come from, which we're going to get into here in just a moment. Recommended prep list. I sent this out via the class system earlier today. Wednesday, attend the live session. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And if you're not, make sure you watch that live session archive. Take the end of course survey. Do it today. It'll take you 5 minutes. Boom, 10% on your grade right there. And then prepare the final Prepare for the final exam by reviewing weeks 1 through 11. Do that today and tomorrow. If you spend 30 minutes today, 30 minutes tomorrow, and then do your final exam on Thursday, bingo, you are wide open. Review the assignment, create the prep list, purchase your mise en place on Friday, and then prepare the assignment, review against the rubric, and submit on Saturday. And then Sunday, Monday, sit back and wait to hear from Chef Suzanne, and you are good. So does anybody have any questions about that? No? Walk in the park, everybody. What's up, Christopher?
The final, is that only one chance to take it?
Funny you should ask, because that is a great opening segue right there. So ladies and gents, our big push this week is our final exam. We have 2 exercises this week. One is the final exam, and the other one is our cooking assignment. The final exam is an accumulation of the first 11 weeks of this course. You need to go back and review all of your research materials, right, for the first 11 weeks. Once you begin, you will have 90 minutes to complete the test, right? So you can't stop it, start it, stop it, start it. You start it, you have 90 minutes, it locks out. You may take the exam as many times as you like. and only the highest score counts. So if you take it the first time and you feel as though you have not done very well, you can certainly go back and take it again and again and again. And if you have an extra computer monitor opened up, looking at the information, pass the test, please. Very, very important. And then the exam will close Sunday, March the 31st at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then to successfully pass the exam, just review the first 11 weeks. All the information is right there. Does anybody have any questions about the final exam? Anyone? Crystal, you ready?
I'm ready.
What about you, Deidre? You there? All right.
Yes, I'm ready.
You ready for it? What about you, Christopher?
Every day of my life.
All right. We're going to make this happen one way or the other. You guys are going to do very well. The final exam, as long as you read that information and just review the research materials, you're set. It's basically an accumulation of the knowledge checks. So remember, you can take it as many times as you like, and only the highest score will stick, and you will be set. We're going to take a walk back. Week 1 in this course, we discussed techniques used to saute, right? Does everybody remember that? Week 1, we talked about hot pan, cold oil equals no stick. And then week 1, we also learned basic plating techniques, right? Traditional plating, and then a little bit more nouvelle plating. Does everybody remember the 3 key ingredients to a successfully presented plate? Color, height, and texture. This plate right down here is loaded with color, height, and texture. It's aesthetically pleasing. Remember that we eat with our eyes first and our mouth second. So that's very, very critical. And then also we learned how to start flipping things in saute pans, or we scoot the food down to the lip of the pan and then we throw it up and then we catch it. It's a rotating, it's just like the chain on a bicycle. Boom, boom, boom. We throw it right back at our sternums and we gently catch it. Does anybody have any questions about week 1? Everybody has that mastered? This week, we want to see some killer presentations on your final assignment. Week 2, everybody. We got into sauteing proteins with vegetable and starch. And then we also worked on our yield percentage sheets and began a series of conversion knowledge checks. There are some conversion knowledge check questions on the final exam. So make sure you take a quick look at those. They're all real simple. 3 teaspoons and a tablespoon, right? 16 tablespoons in a cup, 8 ounces in a cup, 2 cups in a pint, 2 pints in a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon. Remember it, live it, learn it. Does everybody remember about the yield percentage sheets? Anybody? Right? Christopher, did you get a chance to work on those?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, remember, when we do buy a whole salmon, we don't get to use the entire salmon because we don't yield 100% of it, right? We lose skin, bones, and the head, and the pin bones, and so we have to be able to accommodate that for the cost in our product. Week 3, we got into the fritters, right? We talked about the basic formula and the basic ingredients. And I remember that some of you did some fantastic jobs with these fritters. That is something that you can do for the final assignment this week. It's a great idea to incorporate different vegetables into your fritters, whether it be roasted pepper, roasted cauliflower goes really good in fritters. I've seen people put arugula, different chilies in there. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do with the fritters. And those are an excellent idea to work with for your final presentation this week. Does anybody have any questions about fritters? No? And then week 4, we got into pan frying, right? And we all remember what the difference is between pan frying and sauteing. Pan frying, the oil usually only comes up no more than halfway up the item. The top is exposed and only the bottom is cooking. and we're constantly turning the product while we're pan frying. We also talked about when we get done frying things, we never put anything on a napkin. Never, never, never. Because when we fry stuff, the center of the product gets hot and the steam cooks out and forces the moisture out of the product, right? It's not the oil that's cooking the food. It's the heat that makes the product steam, and the steam works its way outward. If you take it out and you put it onto a towel when it comes out of the deep fryer, it's going to maintain all that moisture and get your breading very, very soggy. So it always has to go into a rack. The same thing with bacon as well. So we learned the difference between sauteing and pan frying in week 4. And then we also talked about the best oils to use in industry when it comes to different types of smoke point and flash point. I hope everybody remembers that. When we go to saute, we want to avoid using oils such as extra virgin olive oil or other olive oils because they have very low smoke points. And that also means they have a very low flash point, means that product will engulf into flames at a very low temperature. So we like to work with peanut oil, canola oil, flaxseed oil is fantastic. Rice bran oil is another great oil to fry with as well. Any questions about oils? Concerns? And then in that week, which was week 4, we also talked about the safety and the hazards associated with deep frying. We have to make sure that in industry, we keep a very close eye on the temperature of our oils and the cleanliness of the oil, because once that sediment builds up in the oil, then it will engulf into flame. We also talked about how we keep our oils around for a long time, right? If anybody in industry, and Christopher can probably back me up on this, but in industry, when we buy oil for the deep fryer, it's never in clear containers. And the reason for that is because the ultraviolet rays break the oil down. So they always sell it in foggy containers, the saturated fat, which protects the oil. We have to make sure that we cannot add too much sodium to our oil, because the sodium will break down the oil very quickly. That's why we salt things when they come out of the fryer. And then we also learned that we have to keep the oil clean by straining it. At home, you could do it through a coffee filter. At work, we have a strainer China cap that we can run it through. If you're in a very nice place like Disney, you probably have automatic straining fryers in the luxury business there. But most of us just have to strain it by hand. Moving on to week 5. Week 5, we got into the world of poaching and working with court bouillons, right? So we learned that court bouillon was a quickly cooked broth that we use to poach items in. Court bouillon is traditionally made with mirepoix, a sachet or a bouquet garni of herbs, and lemon. We let it simmer for about 45 minutes, and then we strain it, and then we'll bring it up to temperature, a light simmer, to poach our seafood protein traditionally. And we can reuse that court bouillon as much as we like to. But other things that we poach are veal sweetbreads, which are glands from the veal. We will poach chicken breast. We do like to wrap things in grape leaves and poach them. So there's a lot of different techniques that you can do with the poaching. Crystal, do you remember the poaching?
Kinda. Honestly, I gotta go back and like look at it.
Was it that long ago? Oh wait, what is it? It was like 7 weeks ago, huh?
I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired. I don't remember right now.
Deidre, did you do the poaching? Deidre? What about you, Christopher? Did you do the poaching?
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you poach?
Shrimp.
Shrimp, okay, that's perfect. That's right on the money.
I did the poaching also.
What'd you poach, Deidre?
I poached salmon.
Salmon? How did it come out for you?
It turned out really, really good because I add red pepper flakes to my veggie and a little bit of cayenne pepper, so it had a little kick to it, and it actually took out a lot of the fishy taste.
Oh, wow. Okay. I like that. You kind of have like a little Southern Creole type thing going there in your court bouillon, huh?
Yes, we love spice.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I love to poach with Old Bay. I don't know if you use that often, but Old Bay is a big spice that they like to use down in New Orleans, and it's a very classic poached shrimp flavor. It's got some ground bay leaf and anise in there, and it's delicious. So
Yes.
ever get a chance to work with it, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gents. So week 5, we learned also how to make beurre blanc sauce, right? Does everybody remember that? Yeah. We did a little white wine butter sauce, and we served that with our poached items. We learned that beurre blanc is an emulsified sauce that's wonderful with seafood, poultry, probably that shrimp that Christopher poached. I would imagine it was awesome. Beurre blanc, once you learn that technique, there are so many different directions that you can take it in. I mean, it's insane to what you can do with it. Here in the Southwest, we like to substitute mezcal or tequila, add epazote to it. We've done it with mango puree and hundreds and hundreds of different things. It's very versatile. When we go to do this for buffets, we'll actually bring the wine reduction to a boil, hit it with a little bit of cornstarch, then we butter it out, and that cornstarch helps keep it stabilized on a buffet line so it doesn't break. It makes a big difference. So beurre blanc is one of the most incredible sauces that's out there. All right, ladies and gents, this week's assignment, we are working with braised meats. Okay, so we are braising once again. Week 7, we got into braising vegetables, and we learned all about the way the whole braising process works. If you remember that live session, it was pretty in detail. Braising vegetables is a little bit different because we can just add them to some liquid, simply cover it up, and let that steam and that radiant heat go to work on those vegetables for a period of time. We talked about poaching more sturdy vegetables like carrots and the cauliflowers and the parsnips because they don't break down as easy as the heavy water vegetables such as zucchini and eggplant. I absolutely love the poaching technique, which I think is incredible. Week 8, we really got into this whole braising process, how it breaks down the collagen and how it untwines it. If you remember what happens when you take a piece of meat, if you take a raw top round, it's basically loaded with collagen that's all twined up. It's like a twine of string, and that's what makes it so tough. That's why we don't like to grill top round because it's so heavy in the collagen. When we go to chew it, it's very chewy. But when we braise that meat, once the temperature reaches 150 degrees, those strands of collagen begin to unwind, and that's what creates that tenderness within the product. We also learned that braising is a combination cooking technique with a dry heat, a moist heat technique, because we have some moisture on the bottom of the pot. Remember, we only put 1/3 to halfway up the actual protein, and that becomes our sauce. But the radiant heat that's developed by encasing it, putting it into the oven, so there's heat coming from all sides, actually is what breaks down all the connective tissue and creates that great sauce. Does everybody remember the braising technique? Everybody did it. Christopher, did you braise?
Yeah, I did veal.
Did veal? Ah. What cut of veal did you do?
The eye.
The eye or the round?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely delicious. I bet it came out fantastic. Absolutely. All right, ladies and gents, and then on to week 9. Or I'm sorry, still in week 8. This information is going to be posted on the class page here shortly. Braising became popular, with the heavy cast iron pots when we braise, especially for this week's assignment. now's probably a good time to get yourself a really heavy bottom pot. La Crusette is probably one of the finest. I can't afford them, so they're probably around $200 to $300 per pot. So I think there's less expensive alternatives at Walmart. That's probably a little bit more in my price range, and you'll probably be able to work with something like that. But it's a good idea to invest in one of those. They will last for quite a long time. That Maillard effect is that browning effect that takes place with that radiant heat. You're probably going to hear that when you get into industry a little bit. So this page you can certainly refer back to. It'll be on the class page here shortly. Does anybody have any questions so far? Thoughts, concerns? No? What's that? What's that?
For braising?
Uh-huh.
If I were to bread something
Uh-huh.
and braise it, what would it do? Would it thicken my sauce as it's braising, or would it just create more of a crust?
You would have some crust on the top and a lot of mush on the bottom.
Okay.
So it's something that I would avoid doing. If you're trying to kick it up and add some funk to it and do something different, we used to wrap chicken and quail in banana leaves and then braise it within the banana leaf, and it really helped, gave it almost like a empapillote type effect, and that was really cool. But as far as breading it or something like that, I don't recommend it. It's not a something that I think would work. Not that I've ever breaded and braised something, but you never know. Week 9, we got into roasting chicken, right? We learned how to truss the chickens, not trust, but truss the chickens, because the chickens need to be trusting us at this point. And then, we learned how to handle that bird. We got to make sure that we remove all the parts, wash it down, season it well, truss it, season it, and then throw it in the oven. Here's the basic instructions that we followed. Roasting it in the pot. This dish down here I absolutely love. It's got the lemon, which just adds an incredible flavor to the dish. Any questions so far? Deidre, you okay? Chris?
Yes, I'm here. I'm working on some other work that I need to submit.
Deidre, did you do the meatloaf?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about it. How'd it come out?
It came out really good because during live session, I remember you kept saying, think outside the box, think outside the box. So I had some chorizo on hand, and I had a lot of Mexican flavors on hand. So I just did a Mexican meatloaf with chorizo, ground beef, black beans, corn. I chopped up some chilies, tomatoes, and added taco seasoning. And then I topped it with some cheese and some tomatoes. I wanted to make a queso, but we didn't have the ingredients, so we just left it with cheese and tomato topping. That's
awesome. That's what we're talking about. When we've been talking about trying to do something a little bit different, to kind of push the limit a little bit. That is fantastic. I just love hearing that. That is a great job. So hats off. How'd your family like it?
They loved it because I paired it with some spicy sweet potatoes, again with some cayenne pepper, a little red pepper flakes, and honey. They ate them and they said, "Mom, we need to have this on the menu." So they want it again.
That's awesome. Great job, Deidre. That's awesome. Christopher, did you do the meatloaf? No? You skipped that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, you know what? That's one of those dishes that when you look at baked meatloaf or baked protein, I personally did too when I was younger. I had a tendency to overlook it. But now, years later in industry, that is such a go-to dish that we refer to, especially in the hotel resort industry, because we often end up with large amounts of beef trimmings. Like when we're breaking down tenderloins or we're cleaning top rounds, we'll save all of that trimming. And then that trimming we'll take and grind it. And then when we do large buffets, we'll take all of those trimmings and we'll make either some type of pate, some type of force meat sausage, or some type of meatloaf or something, or even meatballs. And then it's just another source of revenue for us. So it's something that I really get into and I find real exciting. Hi, Chef Janet.
Hello, Chef Warren. Hello, everybody. I hear it's week 12. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, you guys are okay. Yeah, all right. Aren't you excited?
I'm feeling
Yeah.
very encouraged.
Are you really?
Yes.
You look encouraged. You
Yeah.
look like they're bringing on a surprise for you. What are you guys doing this week?
Well, we're going to be brazing this week, and we also have our final exam.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of like a Led Zeppelin when we were talking about it, but that's okay. Yeah. But I think I have a good feeling this class is going to do real well on it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. We've had a very good resurgence recently, and a lot of people are stepping up to the plate and doing a lot of hard work and making it happen. So I'm excited.
Oh, man, I knew these guys had it.
Yeah.
Sage, thanks for inspiring.
Yeah, they inspire me.
I don't see any. All right, I'm just hanging. If you need, you can make me co-host if you want me to manage the chat. Otherwise, I'm just hanging.
I think we're all good. Hang in there. Hang in there. All right. Hi, Chef Suzanne. Oh, we had her for a moment. That was good. Let's get back on track, everybody, and go back to where we were. We were talking about week 10, the meatloaf, and I'm so inspired by what Deidre was talking about. That makes me hungry right there. But we learned all about baking proteins. We talked about the different force meats. We talked about some of the different industry equipment that's required for these things. We also learned about speed racks. And I think this is also the same week that we learned about different pan sizes, from a hotel pan to a half pan to a third pan to a sixth pan to a ninth pan. These are all the different pans that you're going to live and die by. Christopher, how often do you get told to go get a sixth pan? What's that? I can't hear you.
A lot.
A lot? So how important is knowing the size of all those pans in the kitchen?
It really is. It's very important, but also a lot of people have different names for different things. Like when people say a half pan, I say a half hotel pan, and everyone's like, what size? So it can get confusing because some people were taught one way. It's, oh my God.
So that's great. I'm so glad that you brought that up. I would highly recommend that everybody go back to the week 10 class page when you get a chance. That all those pan sizes are posted on the class page for you to review. But remember, like Christopher was just talking about, Chef Janet may refer to it as a hotel pan. And then Chef Suzanne may refer to that same pan as a 2-inch pan, whereas I might tell you to go get a 200 pan, and we're all referring to the same pan. And it was basically broken down by 200 or 2-inch, 400 or 4-inch, 600 or 6-inch, 800 or 8-inch. And then they're all variations of a full, half, third, ninth, sixth. And like Christopher was saying, you'll pick up the lingo after a little bit. And I see Chef Janet put in there hotel pans, and you hear that one quite a bit as well. So it's all over the place, and she just put in there perf pans, and that's another one. If somebody tells you to go get a perforated saute pan when you first walk in the kitchen as a new recruit, be cautious, right? Because they do that for entertainment value only, because there is no such thing as a perforated saute pan, because they did that to me. But moving on to bigger and better things. There. So that's what we learned. And then speed racks. We also learned a lot about speed racks in week 10. Remember that? Having to move those around. Christopher, how often are you lugging a speed rack around the kitchen?
Every day. Every
day, right? And thank God for that. Most speed racks hold a full-size sheet pan that's 18 by 26, and there's about 12 of them. And it can hold anywhere from 5 to 6 salads per sheet pan. And this is how we figure out things in the hotel industry. about how much we've prepped and how much we need to prepare. Taking a look at week 11, which I thought was a really cool week. We heard some great comments from all of you regarding this. Some struggles with lighting fires. Crystal is still recovering from the rain. Crystal, are you going to try to grill again soon?
Yeah, I have to conquer it. It's not gonna stop me for anytime soon. It's a must.
You've got to keep pushing forward. It's really amazing in this industry. There are so many things that I did for the first time that were a total disaster. And the more I kept trying, the more I kept moving forward, the better it got. And you know, just like Crystal was talking about at the beginning of our class, where she had some challenges with the grilling assignment, I guarantee you the next time it's going to be a little bit better, and then the next time it'll be better. So keep trying, hang in there. You can do it, right? Christopher, when you first started grilling, was it a challenge?
I lit my arm on fire.
You lit your arm on fire. Okay. I like it. I like it. Yeah.
And it only took me getting kicked off twice to like finally get my crap together.
Yeah. So today, how is it?
Oh, I was off today.
No, I mean today when you go to work on the grill, is it much easier?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I could walk in there and just get it done. I know what to look for. I know my temperatures, and it took me a lot. It took me almost a year.
yeah. So the moral of the story, it's a lot like riding a bike. You're gonna fall off once or twice, but the best way to learn not to fall off a bike is to fall off the bike. So keep trying and keep moving forward. You can do it. So during week 11, we learned a lot about carryover cooking. And this is something that we work with quite a bit in the industry. You have to remember a lot of our customers are very concerned about the temperature of their meats, right? Whether it be rare, medium, medium well done. And we learned that carryover cooking, when you pull that steak off the grill, it's still cooking. So we have to be able to gauge ourselves to pull it off a few minutes early to allow for that continued cooking process between your grill and the customer's table. So we need to be conscientious of that. And then we also learned that grills all vary in temperature. If you have a 36-inch grill, the entire grill surface is not going to be 600 degrees. You're going to have hot spots, cold spots, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to take some time to learn your grill. So be patient with yourself, and it's a matter of time before you get real good. On that class page as well, on the weekly presentation that's posted on your week 11 class page, there's also a list of all the temperatures that we work with in industry, you know, with rare starting about 125 degrees, with well done all the way up to 160 degrees. We know that in industry, we don't temp each steak, right? When we first start cooking, it's a good idea to have your thermometer and use that. It's a very valuable tool. But as you learn and you gain a little bit more experience, you're going to know when that steak is medium rare and when that steak is well done. So be patient with yourselves as that goes along. Does anybody have any questions? Deidre, you doing okay? Deidre.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm having a problem muting and unmuting.
Oh, that's okay. And I know you did really well on the grilling assignment.
Yes.
Did you try to grill any steaks, or did you stick with just chicken?
I stuck with chicken, but I also, like I said, I sauteed some shrimp. I tried to do them on the grill, but they kept falling, and I couldn't get my kebabs to stop burning. It was a very technical difficulty because I ran into the same thing. I think it was Christina had with the weather. Yeah, Crystal. The weather didn't want to act right. It rained, and I don't have a covering where my grill is, so I had to wait until it was ready, and then it was like a rush to hurry up and get it done.
Yeah, that weather can be a challenge when it comes to grilling occasionally.
Oh yeah.
But fear not. Once you're into industry full time, we're not going to have those issues to deal with. And just remember that when you get into work in the morning, you turn that grill on, and when you go home at night, you turn it off, and it's always there and ready for you. So great job on week 11, everybody. So far tonight, we've gone through weeks 1 through 11. and we touched on all the highlights that we've learned so far in this class. We also reviewed about the weekly or the final exam and what needs to be done. During the final exam, when we were talking about that, we mentioned that you have to go back and review weeks 1 through 11. Make sure you pay very close attention to the research materials and the knowledge checks. With the final exam, once you start taking it, you have 90 minutes to complete the final exam, but you can take the final exam as many times as you like, and only the high score sticks. When we were talking about the final exam, we also covered the fact that all assignments must be submitted no later than this Sunday, March the 31st by 11:59 p.m. That includes all makeup work and missed assignments for this class, because this is the end of the block. Chef Suzanne has to get ready for the next block, so let's get everything in on time this week, please. We would really appreciate it. And then we also mentioned at the beginning of the class how important it is to take the end of class survey, that we really value everybody's opinion, because all of this information that you provide for us, we take a very close look at it so we can improve this and continue the evolution of Escoffier with your comments. So make sure that everybody takes the time to take the end of course survey. That is also posted at the top of your class page, and it is for extra credit. Any questions? Moving on to the next thing.
Can I say hi, Chef?
Hi, Chef Suzanne.
I'm so sorry that I am late, but I'm glad I got to see Crystal here as always, Deirdre, and nice to see you, Chris. Well, I can see you. You can't see me tonight, but that's okay.
My heart was broken.
My heart was broken too, so I'm so sorry that I was late. I just wanted to jump in and say how great grilling looked this week. There was some really
Awesome.
The presentation and the crosshatch marks were phenomenal. So to say that they've grown very much in 11 weeks is an understatement. So I'm super proud. So because I'm late, I still had to say it.
I would have cued you in a few minutes ago, but I wasn't sure if you were still having technical challenges or not.
I'm having nothing but technical challenges.
Well, we're awfully glad that you're here, because you make the class complete. So yeah, I was like that little boy waiting for an ice cream cone outside, and it never came.
It's nice to see everybody here, so I'm glad I made it.
Yes. So, welcome to the class, and thank you for the comments regarding week 11. And I also have to back up what Chef Suzanne was just mentioning about the amount of growth that we have seen over the past 11 weeks so far. For us as instructors, culinarians and chefs, our real return on doing this is seeing your growth. And what we see day 1 versus what we see day 12, it is a huge reward. And so thank you, everybody, for all your hard work and effort over the past 11 weeks. You guys have rocked the house and deserve everything. So moving on to the week 12 assignment, our swan song. Yes, week 12 assignment, ladies and gentlemen. This is it, right from the class page. Make sure that you have a nice, neat self-identification photo, proper mise en place, and your proper station setup. And your proper station setup this week is going to depend a lot on the items that you choose to cook. Remember that we're braising, and then we are also working with the starch and vegetable that you chose to work with in the discussion forum. So, Crystal, which 2 items did you choose?
I'm sorry, for what?
For this week's assignment. Remember in the discussion forum, you had to choose a starch and a vegetable?
I had picked broccoli and potato at first, but then I went with corn.
Okay. So, so you're doing broccoli and corn?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what you'll be using for this week's assignment. And you're going to be braising protein. So depending on your mise en place of the recipe, that'll depend on your station setup. Make sure you have your sanitizing bucket with your proper test strip. Chef Suzanne will be checking that out. And then vegetables and starch prepped to appropriate cuts for the cooking method. Very, very important. If you're going to be braising your vegetables this week, Do not do a julienne or a brunoise. They will dissipate in the liquid. So make sure that you think the cut through before you do that. You will have your browned protein and browned mirepoix, and then your pan deglazed with wine, protein braised, and then finished sauce, and then plated with appropriate garnish. Chef Suzanne and I would like to see some really nice plates this week. This is your final class, or your final assignment in week 12. Chef Suzanne and I like to share your photos. So please give us something to share and do that. And then your narrative and of course your drawing of your plate is very, very important. You have to draw the plated dish out. So, Chef Suzanne.
I'm here.
Do you have anything to add to the week 12 assignment?
No, I think they're gonna rock it like they have been rocking all block. I think I'm just gonna back up what you just said. The plates. I have seen the plate presentation grow so much, so I'm really excited for this one. To really push yourselves for these plate presentations. Really show off this week. Feed the neighbors, feed everybody. Really start wowing everybody with these plates.
I like it. I like it. And let's
feed me. I mean, I'm all about, just, hey, come over. I've got this great.
It's a great way to meet people, isn't it? And make new friends. Yeah. I love knocking on the door and sharing food. That's fantastic. And let's not forget the 3 elements that we bring together. The color, the height, and the texture on the plates. It's extremely important. That's what makes a nice, attractive dish. Make sure that the garnishes that you use this week complement the foods. Garnishes are to complement, not to overpower, not to dictate, but to complement what you are serving on the dish. It's very, very important. Does anybody have any questions? Thoughts, concerns? Anything? It's week 12, everybody. What's up, Christopher?
When we braise, I know classically they would use wine, but if we don't have wine, can we use like another alcohol? Like beer or stout or something?
Chef Suzanne was talking about this a little while ago, and we highly encourage you to step out of the box and braise in something different. Traditionally, a lot of restaurants have used wines. We could use stock. Thank you, Deidre. And the wine is for the flavor profile. It doesn't really do that much for the actual cooking process other than the flavor. But if you want to try stout, go for it, man. It's all up to you. So, yeah, step out of the box. Try something different. Okay. Ladies and gents, I want to remind everybody that we're here for your help. If you need anything, pick up the phone, call, shoot us a text, shoot us a message. We're here to work for you. We've had a great time this block. You have been a fantastic class. And if nobody else has any questions, I bid everybody a great evening. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.